Hi, my name's Phil. I like talking about politics, and in this video I'd like to discuss the latest Tory to get caught out with the same sort of gift acceptance as they're criticising Labour for, only in this case it's actually dodgy and maybe even against the rules, but it is certainly dishonest because the MP in question, James Cleverly, actually lied on his declaration, and there's photographic proof of it. But first, for daily political commentary, please click the subscribe button so you don't miss out. So it was already a risky game for Tory MPs jumping on the media bandwagon of attacks on Labour for gifts and donations that they declared fully and in detail. I mean, you know why they did it. Any excuse for Labour to look bad. But the Tories have not only been accepting gifts of even greater value in many cases, but also been handing over public money in return for some of them. I mean, that's actual corruption. And their declarations are often hidden as well. There have already been a string of articles about senior Tories doing exactly what they're criticising Labour for, including their own leaders accepting gifts of clothes for themselves and spouse. But the latest example with James Cleverly is actually dishonest, and it's hard to see how it's within the rules at all. It relates to James Cleverly and his wife watching the men's singles final at Wimbledon last year, with their tickets being gifted to them. And you may say, so what's wrong with that, you may ask? Well, in the grand scheme of things, it's hard to say it would have been an example of corruption. I can't imagine that James Cleverly, as Foreign Secretary at the time, would have been in a position to corruptly do any favours for Wimbledon in return for the free tickets. I would not even mention it, but for a few little issues now. The first, of course, is that it's another case of Tory hypocrisy. They're complaining about Labour politicians getting free tickets to watch sporting events, including Starmer at Arsenal Football Club, even though he actually pays for his tickets, despite the impression the media are giving. The fact that the Tories seem to be suggesting there's something wrong with the behaviour makes the cases where they did it conversation worthy, because people in glass houses should not throw stones. However, there are two features to this particular gift which may have been newsworthy anyway. The first, the more minor one, is that James Cleverly had denied that any of his family had benefited from the free hospitality. But photos show him in attendance with his wife. So he lied, and he lied on an official form. He didn't just, lie to the public. It's on he's put it down on his form for ministerial hospitality, and it clearly says, were you in attendance with your spouse or other family members or anything like that? And he said no. His wife's right there. Now, the lie itself may have breached rules because he's given a false declaration, right? But it's not necessarily the most egregious breaking of the rules. But it still shows that Cleverly does not value honesty with the public because it was such a casual lie. Why didn't you just tick the yes box? Like, yeah, my wife was with me. What are you going to do about it? Nothing. Like, it's not a big deal. No one would make a big deal if he'd have just done that. Why make a lie like that? Why be dishonest? When also, especially when it would be easy for anyone to go, oh, I'm going to check this, review the footage and determine, that's your wife with you, isn't it? Someone who will tell such a stupid and unnecessary lie reveals themselves to be fundamentally untrustworthy. Like a normally honest person might tell a lie. If they're under pressure because they think the truth will do some terrible harm and they don't think anyone else will be hurt by the lie. Someone who's generally honest might do that. Like a kid who lies about eating some biscuits because, well, it's done now and they don't want to get into trouble. But such a casual lie is the mark of someone who will never be straight with you. So unfit for office. But it could be against other rules as well, because Cleverly, he declared it as ministerial hospitality. So he didn't declare it, his own free ticket, never mind his wife's, in the normal way that MPs would. Now, as I've discussed recently, government ministers don't have to declare gifts connected with their ministerial duties in the way that MPs normally do. This is why the media got away with saying Keir Starmer had accepted a higher value of gifts and donations than any other MP in the last Parliament. Not true. Wasn't even close to being true. That was Boris Johnson by a long way. But that specific register doesn't include ministerial gifts, separate place, which they didn't refer to. But were these free tickets to Wimbledon ministerial gifts? Like, Had James Cleverly been the sports minister, I would go, well, yes, of course, you're going to get invited to sporting events. Even the Prime Minister, because the Prime Minister represents all government ministries, so you can get invited to wherever. You're doing it on behalf of the government. That makes sense. But James Cleverly was Foreign Secretary. So what had it got to do with his job as Foreign Secretary? I know the finalists were both foreigners. I don't think that quite covers it. Like, if he was given the tickets for being a prominent politician, he should have declared them on the normal register for MPs. Because even ministers have to declare gifts given to them in their role as an MP. That's why they have to be careful. Is this gift given to me as my role of Secretary of State for whatever, or Minister of State for whatever, or is it just because I'm a famous politician? It's only specifically gifts presented as part of their role as minister which go on the separate register. And even this rule was brought in by the Tories. You know, because it sounds very complicated. Well, why would you have such a complicated rule? Well, the Tories decided to hide all their gifts. When Labour were last in government, all gifts were declared, normally, ministerial or otherwise, all in the same register. And Starmer's Labour are changing the rules to go back to that as well. It's only the Tories who changed the rules to hide their gifts. And even then, it appears they play fast and loose with their own rules. So Tory MPs might want to be a bit more careful about attacking Labour for things they know are all above board, because it never takes long for real journalists to find example of not only where the Tories have done the same, but done way worse. Like declaring on a record of ministerial hospitality, for example, that no spouse accompanied you when there are photos of your wife at your side. But there we are. Those are my thoughts. Let me know yours in the comments below. If you enjoyed the video, please click the like button. And if you'd like to support the channel further, you can join for memberships. Thanks for watching. And until next time, I'll see you later.